Hello and welcome. My name is Suli Richardson, and I'm the Community Education Program Manager at Desert Financial Credit Union. And today we're excited to be able to offer you this webinar on creating a basic spending plan, aka Budgeting 101. So we're going to start with a video.
Aw, man, I do not have the budget for new shoes right now.
Over budget, eh?
Yeah. Sorry.
Maybe I can help. I'm a card-carrying budget builder.
I keep trying to make a budget that works for me, but it all keeps falling apart.
Sounds like you need a new approach. Don't hesitate to start from scratch and try again. Begin by getting your basic proportions right.
Go on.
A solid, well-proportioned budget will give you increased security, flexibility, and efficiency when it comes to money. You won't end up constantly broke before payday or saddled with out-of-control debts. What do you know about 50-30-20?
Is that a new boy band or something?
I like you. Allow me to demonstrate. Bring 'em in. Take your total net income and create a budget to spend 50% on needs,
I'm essential.
30% on wants,
You know I'm the coolest one.
and put 20% into savings.
I've got your back.
You get it? Start with your needs. Factor in all the essentials like housing, insurance, clothing, transportation, cell phone, groceries, and utilities.
But what if my needs cost more than 50%?
If that's the case, you have three choices: finding cheaper options, looking for ways to earn more money, or sacrificing a bit from another category.
Hey, lousy needs.
Your wants are the most flexible category, but they can also be the hardest to wrangle. Wants include dining out, concerts, movies, fashion, electronics, travel, subscription services, and all other non-essential purchases.
Okay, I'll rein in my wants if my needs are too expensive. Cool.
You could also sacrifice wants to put more into savings. Hey, back off, pal.
Yeah.
Savings are extremely important, and not just for big, long-term goals like buying a house or retiring. You can also save for short-term future expenses, like an annual payment or a needed computer upgrade. You should put some money aside for an emergency fund as well. Saving up ahead of time will help you keep your budget more manageable, so you don't have to resort to high-interest debt to cover unforeseen expenses.
Can I save less than 20%?
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, but remember that your savings help with future needs, which aren't optional.
That's right. Ignoring me could come back to haunt you.
Alright, I like this whole 50-30-20 thing, but my real problem is sticking to the game plan. How do I keep my budget from falling apart again?
That depends on you. Do you want total and complete control? Then go old school and make an itemized spreadsheet.
And if I want super easy?
Then let technology do it for you. There are some great online tools and apps out there that make budgeting a snap, no matter which method you choose. Make sure you track your spending for 2 months to get a full picture of your spending habits. Then you can make adjustments to trim down your needs, maximize your wants, and stay on top of savings.
Nice. I can make it all work together instead of feeling like each expense is fighting for dominance.
Yep. When your budget is well built, everything will fit nicely.
Awesome. I'll use the 50-30-20 rule as a framework and build myself a better budget this time.
Now you're talking. Go get 'em.
Aha. Whoops. Hehehe.
So as you see with that video, kind of cool, right? A really interesting way to talk about budgeting in a very simple way that anybody can use it. So let's look at what we're going to talk about as far as our learning goes. We're going to talk about why it's important to have a spending plan. Why is it important to you? We're going to talk about goal setting And we're also going to walk through those steps in setting up a spending plan, what to do first. And so one of the things that I do want to talk about is finding your motivation. So for some of us, we might be motivated to have a spending plan based on our financial situation. Maybe we want to learn how to just be able to make better money decisions. Maybe we want to just learn to live within our means. We need to just save more money. Some of us might be trying to pay off debt, and there might be some other reasons that you would want to have a spending plan. Whatever your reason is for having a spending plan, you are in the right place. Finding your motivation is a good place to start because it will be that thing that will help you to continue to track your savings and to follow through on being diligent and deliberate in setting up your budget. So turn that motivation into a goal. Goals are wonderful and they help us to get motivated to get the things that we have to have and the things that we want to have. Think about a goal that you would like to have, something that you've been trying to achieve, and you think about it a lot, but maybe you've never really sat down and thought about it. That can be your motivation for having a spending plan. And if you do have that goal, think about the steps that you have in place to do that. So we know that financial advisors have been telling consumers, us, for years about having some emergency money in a savings account. That could be a goal. So if you didn't have something that you already identified, maybe it's that I need to build up my savings account. And so they've been saying, 2 to 3 months, 6 to 8 months, or 12 to 24 months. The 12 to 24 months seems like a lot, and that is a huge goal. That's having at least 1 year or up to 2 years of all of your living expenses in a savings account. So you would consider your mortgage, your rent, your lights, your water, your food, all of those things that you have to pay every single month. Should you lose your employment, that you still need to make sure that you can live. So you would take whatever that total number of the dollar amount that you get, and you want to get at least 2 to 3 months, or 6 to 8 months, or 12 to 24, which is pretty lofty. Just start somewhere. It could be 2 to 3 months, but you want to start thinking about it. And as you create your spending plan, to factor that into consideration. And then these are some other ideas for maybe goals that individuals might have. You want to call them like SMART goals, not just pretty being big, but thinking about something that you want, something that you desire, that you would like to have. As you can see, we've got a car. Some people might want to get a house, might want to go to college, might even want to plan something fun like a vacation. And a SMART goal means that it has to be specific, it's got to be measurable, it's got to be achievable, it needs to be realistic, and it needs to be timely. So it has to answer the who, the what, the when, why, and how. And so if you look at the example on your screen, it shows an example of how I want to save $1,000 in a year. That is pretty specific. I not to say that I want to save some money. I want to save $1,000. I got a time frame. It's going to be a year. I'm going to do the math on it. So this is the part that you think through, regardless of what your goals are. You need to sit down and think it through and put in place all of the details. So in this example, we're rounding up because we are saving $1,000 in 1 year. And so we're going to take our $1,000 divided by 12 months in a year. That's $84 a month. I'm breaking it down even a little bit further. So perhaps the person gets paid twice a month. And so it ends up being $42 per month that they can save to get that $1,000 in a year. And you can use this format for any kind of goal that you're trying to achieve, where you know that you have a certain dollar amount that you're working with in a time frame. The prerequisite for setting up your spending plan before you get into the nitty-gritties of step one, step two, is to get organized. Things to consider when you're thinking about getting organized. or finding a process that works for you. So getting organized with your bills. With your bills, do you have a bill paying system? What is your system? What's your process for organizing your bills? Are you still getting your bills through the mail? Are you getting them through email? That's very popular right now where, they get your email address. Now they want to set your bills up on automatic email so you don't get the paper anymore. Are you using a calendar? That's an option too. You can use any number of those items that you see on the screen. You can use a combination. You can pick one. The bottom line is find something that you like that is comfortable for you. I actually use a variety of all of these. I still get some by mail because that's my preference. Some I will allow them to notify me through email. I might put some things on my calendar. I have alerts and reminder messages that I get on my phone for some things that I really don't want to forget. And then the last bullet says automation, direct deposit, auto transfers. The more you can set your bills up on some kind of autopilot, it puts you more in the driver's seat of your finances. It eliminates forgetting. You don't have to forget, but you just got to make sure that you have money in your account to cover those bills. But setting up automatic transfers or direct payments, that works too. Whatever you have to do to make sure that you can get organized with your bill paying system. And then the last thing says to even think about having a space in your home where you're just going to dedicate to paying your bills. It really kind of just sets the mindset and the tone for, treating your finances like it is your business. And it kind of is. It's your business. It's your own personal business. So the first thing that we're going to do is think about your paycheck as your income source. If you're still working, your paycheck would be your income source. So you want to document that. However you get paid, you want to look for a dollar amount, the net for the entirety of the month. But there are some people that may not be working. And so there are other sources of income that individuals could have, such as what you see on the slide. We've got benefits, Social Security, TANF, WIC, child support, SNAP. There's gifts. Some people sell their plasma. They might volunteer for medical research. There's also recycling, renter income, which does not necessarily mean that I own a home. I could be renting out a room. And some of these came from probably about 12 years ago when we went through our recession, that a lot of people did some things that they probably never thought they would do in 100 years because they were having such a hard time. You do what you have to do. And I know that right now we're in COVID-19 and we're not living life the way we were before. Some things are pretty much restricted, but this is for future. And you can apply whatever you can apply to your life and your family situation. So we have retirement income. Some people are self-employed. They might have a side job or a skill. We also have earned income tax credit, so that tax refund. And I deliberately put this on the slide because regardless of, the fact that, we file our taxes one time a year, whenever you get that money, it is still income, regardless of what you want to do with it or what you choose to do with that money. You still want to document it because all sources of income when you are creating your spending plan really should be documented. So that's the first thing that you do. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to determine our bills and our spending. Now, the examples that you see on your screen with all these different icons represent all different types of expenses that individuals can have for everyday living. There's some things that we have to have, like our housing, of course, transportation and water and food. Then there's some other stuff that just makes us feel good that we have from lunch out. We have habits. We celebrate special days. We have hobbies. There's all kinds of expenses that we as a people could have depending on our lifestyle and our circumstances. One expense that I do want to point out on the screen is the little pig. And that represents your savings. Your savings should be treated as a bill. You want to pay yourself first. As you saw in the video, they talked about 20% of that 50-30-20 budget style was savings. So even if you can't do the 20%, you just want to do, maybe it's $20, but you want to always incorporate some kind of savings within your spending plan. Automate, pay yourself first. You can set that up through direct deposit. If not, you have other options with your bank. If your direct deposit is already maxed where you can't add another one, you can check with your lender, your financial institution, and see about account transfers. They can do it every month. They can do it on whatever day of the month that you designated. If you want them to do it on the 15th of every month, they can do that. Take money from your checking, put it into your savings, and usually this is free. It does not cost you anything at all. The other thing I wanted to say about the savings is that you can have savings for many different things. You can have an emergency savings. You can have a savings for your car, a saving for your house, a savings for vacation, for the holidays. And with Desert Financial, we can actually save our savings account. So that's an easy way to kind of separate your money out so that you give your money a purpose and a name, and you name your account, and it helps you to stay true to the purpose of which you created that savings account. Automatic pilot. So this screen just shows the different categories that your expenses could fall in. So we have the fixed expenses, we've got flexible expenses, and then we've got the periodic expense. So a fixed expense, a good example of that would be your housing. Your housing dollar amount, whatever you pay on your mortgage or your rent, doesn't change every other month. Whatever that amount is, that is the amount. So that is a fixed expense. That's one of the easier ones to um, plan for as you are creating your spending plan. It's easy because you know what it's going to be. Now, some of the others that might be a little bit hard when you're trying to figure out your budgeting, your budget spending needs is, your flexible expenses, which could be your food, it could be your utilities, it could be some miscellaneous items that you guys have. But identifying what those are and trying to figure out a way that you can get a good estimate on how much to set aside each month for those. So the food is a good category that I want to share with you, that you can actually figure out how much money you should be setting aside for groceries. If you took your average for, let's say, the past 3-4 months, get an average on how much money you spend on groceries, and then you can make that determination that that is the amount that we're going to allot for groceries. So now it's more like a fixed expense. And then we have the periodic expense. Now, this is the expense that could happen. And so some things, I might pay every 3 months, maybe every 6 months, maybe once a year, depending on how you have structured your finances. One of the ones that comes to mind immediately would be your transportation, your car. If you have a car, to drive your car and drive it legally, you have to have your car registered, right? You have to have insurance. Usually your tags are due once a year, unless you decide to go every 2 years. And depending on, your car and the value, that could be a pretty big ticket item. So that would be one of the ones that you can set up for a periodic expense and plan ahead and have that special savings and have that money on monthly transfers that goes into your car fund, so that when your tags are due, all you have to do is go online, transfer the money, and take care of it. There's no waiting for a payday because you have been saving all throughout the year for this big ticket item. And then, of course, we all have our different needs and our different wants, and we get to figure out what our needs are, what our wants are. And it's going to be different for every single one of us. Tracking your expenses is crucial. When you are setting up a budget, you have to track. There's got to be some kind of tracking. And there are so many ways that you could track, from old school, keeping receipts, carrying a notebook, or just having a notebook in your car that you just quickly jot down items as you spend money, or in your house. Right now, we're all kind of not being out a lot. So, just having that notebook somewhere where you can um, write down and track all of your expenses. We're in November, you would just go November, and as you spend money, whether it's online, you're just going to jot down all the money that you spend so that you can, track your spending. You could use apps. There are so many apps out there that people can use. I've heard about Every Dollar. There are some others out there. So find an app that you like. You can do your online banking. You can use a calendar. It doesn't matter how you track. The idea is to track. So you can use a combination of different ways to track. So this template was created on Google Sheets. If you have a Google account, you can create it for free. This worksheet resides in the cloud, so it gives you access on all of your devices, and it syncs. So it's really pretty cool. Very similar to Excel, because I used to use Excel, but what I found was that Excel wasn't syncing on all my documents. It reside wherever it reside. And so I started using Google Sheets, and I really, really like it. So what I did is I just made it into um, this type of budget template that it shows 4 weeks in a month instead of showing the whole full month. I like that it breaks it down per week. And so you can do this yourself by just, creating this format. And so you get week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. It doesn't matter when you get paid. You can use this however you want. And as you see, you've got the income at the top for week 1. You've got your expenses at the bottom. And what you don't see on this is that I do have another line on mine where when I do the math, it shows my running balance. But you get the concept is that you see all 4 weeks at a glance, and it really kind of helps you to kind of gauge where you are. And if you need to carry some money over to the next week, you get to see where you are. And then, of course, the other apps that are out there, lots of apps that you can use. If you're a techie person and you want to use something besides Excel document or Google Sheets, there are certainly other things that you can use. Then our habits, they cost us a lot sometimes. Small things, $25 a week eating pizza. If you did it, it's $100 for the whole month, which ends up being $1,200 for the whole year. So just think, if you were that person that was trying to save up $1,200, you got this trip you want to take, it's going to take, $1,200. You can look at your habits and the little things that you spend money on and maybe find that money somewhere and start cutting back so that you can reach your goal. The devil is in the details. And the third thing that you're going to do is that you're going to balance your budget. You're going to do the math. But if you are using that Google Sheets and you are diligent and, every few days or once a week or however you, designate your time that you're going through and you're tracking your expenses and you're adding your items to your worksheet, if you do that throughout the month, the math is going to be done for you before you even get to the end of the month. It makes it so much easier to do it throughout the month than waiting until the end of the month to gather your receipts and sit down and try to tackle your spending plan, your budget. If you do, it will be overwhelming and it's going to feel daunting. So my recommendation is to do it throughout the month. Don't wait until the end of the month to try to look at this. It takes just a couple of minutes, if even that, to update your worksheet. And then the fourth thing that you're going to do is just to review and make necessary changes if you have to. Maybe everything is fine and you don't have to do anything. You've gone through the whole month, you've spent money, you paid bills, you looked at your worksheet, and hey, everything is fine. As a matter of fact, you've got some extra money. Then you have to do nothing. However, if you are in a deficit, this is where you're going to have to go back and look at your receipts and your notes and make some decisions on what you could do to cut back on spending if you have to do that. If there are other people in the household who is contributing to the spending and the finances, you might want to communicate with them especially if things are not going so well, so that everyone is on the same page, sharing, goals with the family and the financial updates so that other people know what the expectations are and so that they know what the status of the household finances are. When people don't know, they're going to continue with their same behavior. But if they know that there's a common goal that we're trying to work toward, or we need to cut back on spending, then they can, help and be on the same page. Then the fifth step is that you're just going to maintain your spending plan, your budget. You're just going to maintain it. And by what I mean by maintaining is that you're going to continue to track your expenses on a regular basis. You're going to make adjustments as necessary. You're going to review your goals at least every 3 to 6 months and make sure that everything is good to go. And especially if you have a major life changing event. Maybe there's a new baby, maybe there's a change in employment. So make sure to, review your goals, review your spending plan, your budget. Your spending plan is a living, moving, breathing document that you are working. So in the beginning, the tracking might seem like it's a lot of work, but it does get better over time, and it gets easier, and it gets to be where it is more manageable. It is not set in stone. And then this is just a recap of the steps that we talked about. The first step is to list your income or income sources. The second step is to determine your expenses, and you're going to do that through all that tracking that we talked about, whether it's an app or receipts or a notebook or however you decide to track. You just need to track. And then the third thing is to balance your budget, and all that means is doing the math. And if you're using that worksheet that I shared or something similar, you're doing it throughout the week, throughout the month. You're not waiting until the end of the month to try to tackle that, because remember, it will be overwhelming and you won't want to do it. And the fourth step is that when you have your totals and everything is done at the end of the month, you want to kind of just review and see what you've done. How well did you do? Did you do great? Or do you need to make some changes? Is there something that you did that you probably shouldn't have done? And you're thinking, okay, next month I need to do better. And that is fine. You're going to find that, every month is a brand new month. Every month is different. And you will maybe make some purchases that you probably shouldn't have. But that's okay, because there is another month that is coming and you can get back on track. And then the last bullet says to just manage and maintain. By working from a spending plan, it really helps to put you in the driver's seat of your finances. It really helps you to make better informed decisions. And I think one of the most important things is to live beneath your income. And then it's going to help you to also achieve some of the goals that you want to accomplish. So thank you so much for listening to this webinar. I hope that the information was beneficial and helpful to you. Thank you so much and have a great day.